All right, so we're doing division as a fraction. We're going to do today 8, was it 8, 10, and 12? 8, 10, and 12, and then we're going to try to do some bigger numbers as well. Just so that you are ready. 8, 10, and 12. Some help y'all were. Okay, 8, 10, and 12. We're going to be dividing by 8, 10, and 12. Okay, so we want to write that out here. Divide by 8, divide by 10, divide by 12. All right, so the first thing, let's do, I'm going to give you another example problem for us to write in our journal. Because I know some of us were having trouble deciphering what the problem's asking. Mr. Best brewed 23 ounces of coffee. He shared it equally with 5 people. How much coffee did each person get? Now that's not 8, 10, or 12. I realize that. But I want you to see a problem. So we can really dissect this problem and dig in. What is the total number of ounces that Mr. Best brewed? 23 ounces. This is the total ounces, right? But I'm not giving that 23 ounces to myself, am I? I'm sharing it with 5 people. Equal shares means divide. And then 5 people is the number of people I'm sharing it with. On Monday, we had axe murderers in here, and that can't be. We're not taking 5 people and chopping them up and putting them in the coffee. Calm yourself, Evan. We are taking 23 ounces of coffee and we're dividing it equally by 5 people. Think about you have 5 cups sitting out. And you're going to pour the same amount in each cup.
Should I go be
So, does everybody understand how I'm getting this set up? Now, if I'm going to set this up as a fraction, this line means divided by. You with me on that? So I'm doing 23 divided by 5. Can I leave my fraction that way? No. I have to divide it. 5 into 23. Now, Miss Hussey on the test you're going to take, excuse me, has set it up like this for you already. Remember doing this? How many times will 5 go into 2? 0. So then you move the 2. I didn't leave enough room. Then you move the 2 over here, 23. How many times does 5 go into 23? Let's count. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Uh-oh. 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And that leaves 3. So it's 4 whole ounces and then 3 out of, what was our denominator? 5. That's why I say set this up first. And you can see that your denominator is 5. So over here, your denominator is going to be 5. Does this make sense a little bit more? Okay, let's look at another example, one more word example problem here. Because sometimes you're going to see this. And I think this is where we might get confused. Blake brought in 1 gallon of water. 8 students, now I got my 8 going on, drank an equal amount. How much did each student drink? Now, once again, what are we dividing up? What's our total? Our total is a gallon of water. There's 8 people lined up. Blake, thanks for bringing in water. Thanks for sharing. And there's 8 of them, right? So the gallon right here is the total. Equal amounts is fair shares. That tells me to divide. What am I dividing it by? 8 students. So I'm taking the total water, which is 1 gallon, and I'm dividing it by 8 people. Or 1 gallon divided equally to 8 people. Or 1 divided by 8. So if you're one of those 8 people that get to share the water, how much do you get? 1/8 gallon. Let's look over here. Let's say, here's the gallon of water. He's about to share it. There it is. How many people are sharing it? This is an 8. This is an 8. This is an 8. Make sense?
Yeah.
Each person will get 1/8. Think about the story. Make the story make sense in your brain. Really think about what you're dividing out. How many people you're sharing it with. Okay? What?
I have trouble with the smaller numbers.
Like this, 1/8?
Well, like you're sharing, like say, you have to find out how long something is, and it's like 3 foot, and you have to divide it by like 3.
3 foot divided by 3?
I mean, uh,
Tell me a story. I went to the hardware store and I bought 3 foot of rope for a craft. Okay?
and I want to know how how to cut it equally.
Between how many people?
Uh, 8.
Okay, so let's do it. Bryson bought 3 feet of rope. He shared it equally with 8 people. Okay, let's do this. Right here is 1 foot. Right here is 1 foot. Right here is 1 foot. Right? You went up there and bought 3 feet of rope. There they are. Is everybody with me so far? You didn't go buy you 3 feet of rope? Get them drawn out there. There's 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. If I only had 1 foot of rope and I had to share it with 8 people, how many pieces would I have to cut this into? 8. I would have to cut this into 8s. So cut it in half. Cut the halves in half. That makes 4ths. And then cut the 4ths in halves, and that makes 8s. So just say here's person 1. Person 1 gets 1/8 out of 1 foot of rope. But guess what? Here's another foot of rope. So we got to cut it into 8s. Half a half is 4ths. Half of the 4ths is 8s. So here's an 8. Person 1 gets an 8th from there. So now person 1 has how many 8s? Has 2 8s. But there's another foot of rope. What do we have to cut it into? 8s. So we're going to cut it in half. Cut the half in half to make 4ths. Cut the 4ths in half to make 8s. Here's an 1/8 of foot of rope. And person number 1 gets an 1/8 of a foot of that one. Are we out of rope now?
No.
Yes.
Yes. One person got 3.
One person got 3/8. Person number 2 got 3/8. Person number 3 got. Person number 4 got 3/8. I bought 3 feet of rope and I divided it by 8 people. So 3 divided by 8. Each person gets 3/8 foot. Does that help?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Well, a lot. Like I didn't understand how to do it.
Well, now you got a picture. You figure out what you're dividing and you put it as the numerator. And you figure out how many people or what you're dividing it by, and that's the denominator. Okay? Look here. Pretend this is cookies. Peanut butter cookies. Bryson, here's 2 peanut butter cookies. And I want to share it equally with, don't say 8. Pick a little number. Okay, I'm going to share my 2 peanut butter cookies with 4 people. If I'm going to share these with 4 people, Bryson, what do I have to do? But if I want to share this one, I have to cut it in. If I'm going to take this one cookie and share it with 4 people, what do I have to do? I have to cut it in fourths. Now what do I have to do to this one? Cut it in fourths. Okay, now I got my fourths. Because I had 2 cookies. Let me get down here to the bottom. I had 2 cookies. Let me do this. And now I'm sharing them with 4 people, right? Bryson gets a piece. Jaden gets a piece. Mr. Best gets a piece. Blake wanted a piece. He just raised his hand. Okay. Well, that's only 1 cookie. Each person right now has how much? 1/4. But I got another cookie. So Bryson gets a piece, Jaden gets a piece, Mr. Best gets a piece, and Blake gets a piece. Now how much does each person have? 2/4, which is a half. Each person gets a half of the cookie. Do you see? Does this help? So let's write that one down. Except we're going to do 8s. Mr. Best had 2 cookies. And he divided it by 8 people. What do you put on the top? What you're dividing. For divided by, you put your line. We're dividing by 8 people. Each person will get 2/8 of a cookie. Guess what? This number is not simplified. Is it?
No.
What can I divide by? What will go into 2 and 8? Will 1 go into 2 and 8? Will 2 go into 2 and 8? Will anything else go into 2 and 8? No. So we're going to divide by 2/2, which is a form of 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So everybody gets 1/4 of a cookie. It's just fair shares. Okay, let's do some big ones. Miss Schnibbins has 36 ounces of paint. and she wants to share it equally with 10 students. What are we dividing? The paint. We're not chopping Bryson up and giving him in the paint. Okay, so we're taking the paint and squirting it out into 10 containers, right? So it's literally 36 divided by 10. So when we divide, what is our denominator going to be? 10. If you set it up this way, 36 divided by 10. Then you get 36 tenths, which is a what? Improper fraction. To solve an improper fraction, you do 36 divided by 10. How many times will 10 go into 36? 3 times. 3 times 10 is 30. 36 minus 30 is 6. Can 10 go into 6? No. So it's 3 is your whole number because it goes in 3 whole times. You have 6 left over out of 10. Now I have a problem with 6 tenths. How do you know? They're both what? They're both even. That is one way you can tell. If both numbers are even, it is not simplified. That's only one way to tell. Okay? So we're going to divide by a form of 1 to get our new answer. What form of 1 are we going to divide by? Why not 6? Why not 4? Okay, so you say 2. 6, you got to remember to bring your 3 over. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. I know that 3/5 is simplified because they're both. No, they are both odd, but that's not why. They're both. What kind of numbers are those? What kind of numbers are 3 and 5? They're prime. All that will go into both of those numbers is 1 in their self. It can't get any smaller. Okay? Let's look at another one. Let's do 84 bags of potato chips divided by 12 kids. Trick or treat. What's our numerator? 84. What's our denominator? 12. Okay. 84 divided by 12. Will 12 go into 8? No. Will 12 go into 84? 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 1 is 8. Liver mush. Is there a remainder? No, so each child will get 7 bags of chips. Well, you'll go through them in a week.
Are they Funyuns or the big bags?
I like Funyuns.
Yeah. I love Funyuns.
Okay, what if I said 97 paper clips divided by 12 teachers? That's not a lot of paper clips when you got a bunch of things to paper clip. 97 paper clips divided by 12 teachers. What's my numerator? 97. Just read it from top to bottom. 97 divided by 12. 12 goes into 97. How many times will 12 go into 9? 0, so I'm going to move my 9 over here. 12, 24. What's next? 36.
96.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 12 is 96. Each teacher gets 8. This is the whole, right? Each teacher gets 8 and 1/12. Well, can I get 1/12 of a paper clip? No, that'll just be left over. Okay, makes sense? Are there any questions on how to do this? If you please go to Google Classroom, your test is up. You will need paper out to work them out. You can refer back to your journals, which is why I don't understand why people are closing them.